It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
So this first question, Brian, is very timely. This is from Andrew. Andrew says, if all of my stocks are down right now, but some are down more than others, would it be an okay time to rebalance the portfolio if I was planning to do it soon anyways? So he said two things I want you to speak there. One, he said specifically stocks, right? That's a different type of thing you got to think about as terms of like when you buy and when you sell. But how do we think about rebalancing, and how should someone, an investor, think about rebalancing their portfolio, and how does what's going on presently in the market affect that?
Yeah, I always say that there's several things going on, especially when markets are volatile, is that you want to have your plan based in what's opportunistic and what's long-term.
That's right.
So if you are planning, because the long-term plan is, hey, maybe the allocation needs to be tweaked a little bit, or I just need to bring everything back into focus, that's your first hurdle you need to look at and go, yeah, I know I've got a rebalance coming up. There is nothing wrong with being opportunistic and locking in and harvesting some losses and other things because you're going to do it anyway. But I will go ahead and warn you, you have to be, we're not market timers. We don't know that we're going to land this plane perfectly because there's a very big chance maybe markets go down more, maybe they quickly recover and you'll be very happy about it. I don't think that is the main why. It's just that you took advantage of a situation, but still it tied into your long-term goal and purpose of that you need to do a rebalance, an annual rebalance or so, whatever your time frame that you're looking at it. That is the why, but you, in the short term, are getting a little bit of a sweetener there because you maybe harvested a few losses.
Yeah, and here's the thing. When it comes to portfolio construction and portfolio management, there's friction that exists when you try to rebalance, when you go to place trades, when you try to make adjustments. So one of the things we try to do when we look at our portfolios is we have acceptable ranges. Generally, when we rebalance, we want to do it because there's a purpose behind it. Perhaps it is loss harvesting and capitalizing on that. Perhaps there's something undervalued that looks attractive and we want to sell something that's overvalued and we make that change. We look at rebalancing our portfolios often, but that does not mean that we are often rebalancing, because sometimes there's nothing that makes sense to change. If we have a target for a certain asset class at 11% and it's growing to 11.5%, we probably aren't going to rebalance that away because there's not a lot of value to be added from doing that. We think that it is the quality of the decisions that we make that leads to long-term success, not the quantity. Because if you try to do it too often, I worry you get in this habit of trading too often. And if you rebalance now and the market's down 5%, well, then what are you going to do when the market's down 10%? I would say pick a time frame. Maybe it's every quarter, maybe it's twice a year, maybe it's annually. Look at your rebalancing strategy and let that inform how you go about making those decisions.
I do want to give Andrew a big compliment, though. I love the financial mutant mentality of when we have volatility, when things are going bad, when there's things are bouncing around that emotionally it might make some people panic. I like that Money Guy listeners and financial mutants like Andrew get excited. They're looking for, are there planning opportunities? Are there ways that I actually turn this negative, turn that frown upside down to find a really good opportunity for myself? That's a win. And that's the mindset that's going to create even more financial success. So good job, Andrew.
And here's the last thing, and I'm sorry, I just got to add one more thing on it.
Yeah, that's fine.
One of the absolute best ways to rebalance a portfolio is through dollar cost averaging.
Oh, yeah.
A beautiful thing that happens is when you are constantly adding money to your portfolio, whether it be in your Roth IRA or in your 401k or in your after-tax account, and you have that money going in, as you make those monthly purchases, you get to kind of buy in the right bucket. So for a lot of our clients, we have dollar cost averaging strategies set up that keeps their portfolio pretty well in balance based on that. So if you are someone dollar cost averaging, maybe don't do a separate rebalance. Use those additional purchases as a mechanism to carry out that rebalance. Yeah. Andrew, that was a great question. I love that you were thinking about these things.